Monday Night Raw starts off with Division. Starts off with Paul Heyman finally announcing that Theory is the new member of Division. Then we end up getting a face-to-face promo between Braun Breaker and CM Punk. CM Punk eventually comes out. He wants Division to, leave the ring, and he only wants to talk to Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker cut a really, really good promo. He basically ends up saying that there's no other guy in the locker room that's like him, and that there's no one that's better. There's no one that's like him. He kept on repeating this over and over again, but saying it in a different way, which I thought was amazing. This was a really great Braun Breaker promo. This is why I don't understand when people say that he can't cut a promo, because if you watched him in NXT, he can cut a promo. But he ends up mentioning his family, ends up mentioning that CM Punk probably think that he had everything handed to him, that he had it easy, but it's the complete opposite, that he had to live by a higher standard and do everything at the highest level and had the highest expectations. This was a great promo for Braun Breaker. Really enjoyed it. This is just making me want him to become world champion even more. And he ends up saying that he's not the future and that he is the now, which should be the case. It should be the case. He should be the now. He should be the guy that they're trying to build around. He should be the guy that they need to put the world title on, but I don't think he's winning January 5th, even though he probably should win January 5th, because I've been saying for a while now that Braun Breaker should have already been your world champion. Don't know why we're doing this CM Punk run. Doesn't really make much sense. The only way I can see why they would do the CM Punk thing is if they have a bigger match at Mania, but if you don't have a bigger program like a Roman or something like that, there's no reason for CM Punk to be champion. That's just my opinion. But hopefully he wins. CM Punk responded, but he didn't really say anything that was like that noteworthy. I think Braun Breaker cut the better promo in this segment. That may be a hot take, but I think Braun Breaker cut the better promo. Now, I don't think CM Punk was bad. He was fine. Like, he was cool, but I was expecting a bit more. But maybe, who knows? Maybe WWE told him not to go all in this promo segment, because it did feel like CM Punk was just like, it felt like CM Punk didn't really try. It just felt like he was just going through the motions, if I'm being honest. But nonetheless, this was a good segment. I enjoyed it. This was, like I said, great Braun Breaker promo. So very interested to see how this match plays out. Afterwards, we end up getting a Women's World Heavyweight Championship triple threat match between Stephanie Barker, Nikki Bella, and Raquel. This match, at first, it was very hard to watch. I will say that, because the first like 10-ish minutes, it was very sloppy, very slow. But after Stephanie Barker hits the devil's kiss, the crowd got into it, and the match started to pick up a lot faster, and it started to look a lot better. I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a solid match overall. Stephanie Barker ended up, of course, retaining. It was a moment where Raquel went for she ended up picking them both up, trying to slam them at the same time, but Stephanie ends up escaping. She ends up slamming Nikki. Then she ends up tossing Raquel out the ring, and then she takes the pinfall. Good match. I knew Stephanie was going to win. I wish Raquel would have won, but I knew Stephanie was going to win. What's next? I'm assuming this has to be the end of the feud, because she has beat both women twice. She beat Nikki Bella twice, and she beat Raquel twice. So there's no reason to continue this. I don't want them to continue it, because the feud itself is not that interesting. I don't really care. I get what they're doing. I understand what WWE is doing. They're doing the thing that they done with Rhea Ripley and stuff, where they just hold out until the Royal Rumble to start actually building up her real challenger that they really want her to face. Like, I get it, but man, it's just a tough watch seeing Stephanie Barker in this title reign, because this title reign is so boring and so uninteresting. And it's not her fault. It's WWE's booking. One thing that they need to do is just book her how they did at NXT. They need her to defend the championship weekly and consistently. Because with women like Stephanie, they're not going to wow you with their storytelling. They're going to wow you with their in-ring ability. Have her wrestle more. That's what they really do. Have her wrestle more. She don't need to wrestle all the main eventers right now. I get that. Have her wrestle some mid-card. You can have her wrestle Ivy Nile. Have her wrestle, I'm already forgetting some names, but have her wrestle some mid-card women. You know what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't have her wrestle Lyra, Bailey. They're not doing anything. Yes, they're in the tag division, but let's be real. We all know they're not seriously in the tag division. Like, they're not in serious contention. We know they're not going to win the title. We know, so, have them face, Stephanie for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It don't even need to be a feud. It could just be a random open challenge, whatever. But do something like that to make it interesting for a bit, because until we know the eventual outcome, which is most likely going to be either Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, or Io Sky, maybe a triple threat between one of those three women. We all know that this title reign isn't going to really pick up any steam. So have her wrestle it weekly, because you can't just have her not wrestle and then wonder why no one cares about this championship ring, especially with women like Stephanie. Like, you gotta have them wrestle weekly because the main asset that they have is their in-ring ability, not their storytelling, not their character. So we'll see how this title reign plays out. We'll see if she loses it anytime soon or whoever her Mania opponent is. But nonetheless, it was a good, solid match overall. Then we end up getting the Kabuki Warriors. This was easily the worst segment of the show. For whatever reason, Triple H decided to have the Kabuki Warriors spit a promo that lasted like 5 minutes. I don't know what Triple H is thinking. I don't understand it. I don't know who thought this was a good idea to have Asuka and Kairi Sane cut a promo. Don't understand. This promo was so insufferable. I was so happy to hear Rhea Ripley's theme music. I was so happy. Like, the only thing that made me more mad was that they was walking to the ring, which pissed me off anymore. I don't know why they weren't. I was hoping they would just run because that pissed me off. I was just hoping that the segment would just end because I already knew how the segment was going to end. So I'm like, let's just hurry this up. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky stand tall just to build towards their match next week, which I'm assuming Rhea Ripley, Io Sky win because I don't see a world where the Kabuki Warriors win without cheating. But even then, I don't know how they would cheat in this match. But who knows? Maybe they retain. I don't know. But nonetheless, I'm just glad that I wish that segment was a lot shorter because that promo, I don't know, understand why. Just stick to the vignette packages when it comes to the Kabuki Warriors. I don't know why they decided wanted to do a live promo. It was just bad. The crowd wasn't interested. The crowd didn't care. Don't understand why they thought that was a good idea. Don't do that again. Please don't. I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand what they was going for. It didn't generate heel heat. Like, it didn't. I don't get the purpose. I really don't. But it is what it is. We'll see how the match plays out. Do I really care? Not really, because I don't really care about the women's tag titles, even though they're putting so much effort into it, which I don't understand why. Because while doing that, you're ruining your world titles, and I would assume that you want your world and mid-card titles to be more important. But hey, I don't know. But we'll see how this all plays out. Afterwards, we end up getting Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory. This was a fine match. Towards the end, Rey Mysterio was getting the upper hand, but then Logan Paul interferes, causes a DQ. They jump up, but then Penta comes out, makes his return for the save. I really wasn't going to mention this match. The only reason why I'm even mentioning this is because Penta returned. That's really it. That's the only thing I cared about because I didn't really care about this match because nothing really changes depending on who wins. And yeah, nothing really changes depending on who wins because Rey Mysterio doesn't get elevated, Austin Theory doesn't get elevated. So I really didn't care. I just cared about Penta returning. Nice to see him back. Nice to see that he made a good recovery. Nice that he wasn't out for too long, and interested to see what he does, whether it's feuding with the Vision again, which would be very weird, or you could potentially see him go after the mid-card championship with Dominic Mysterio. That's repeating another thing. But nonetheless, I hope they do something with Penta, because I like Penta. I hope they do something with him. I hope if they do give him a championship, they actually have him defend it weekly, because again, he's another character where I do feel like you could tell more of a story with him, because I do think his English is a lot better, and he doesn't have such a strong accent like Asuka or Kairi, so it doesn't ruin their promo. But nonetheless, I'm interested to see what they do with Penta. Then we get Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch. This was a really good promo. Really enjoyed it. There wasn't nothing too much, but I love what Becky Lynch was doing. Becky Lynch was basically trying to give props to Maxine Dupree, but she was giving it in a very condescending way, and she was struggling to like be nice to Maxine, like she was stuttering her words and taking forever to give her a compliment. Then eventually Maxine of course sees right through Becky Lynch and ends up basically saying that she knows that this is all a facade, and basically that she's going to continue to beat Becky Lynch and continue to steal the spotlight from Becky and continue to become the Intercontinental Champion. Becky Lynch eventually crashes out, mentions her accomplishments, mentions being a WrestleMania main eventer, multi-time women's champ, and mentions how she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time. And then eventually, that's basically the end of the promo. But it was a really good promo. Maxine Dupree having this new confidence about her not backing down, her not being this afraid woman anymore. And then Becky Lynch being this woman that's panicking, that's worried, that's overcompensating for something. Like, I like what they're doing with this. Really enjoying this feud. Maxine will win next week. Very interested to see how she wins, because last time she won due to AJ Lee. Very interested to see how they protect Becky Lynch this time, or they don't protect her, have her win. So very interesting. This was one of the best things on Raw. Then we get the main event, Usos versus Dragon Lee. This was somewhat shocking, but not really. I had a feeling that the Usos was going to win this match, but I wasn't really sure. So it looks like they may take a break from the whole Jey Uso crash out tour, or crash out crash out stuff, which I don't mind because I don't think that was going anywhere anyway. What can they do with the World Tag Titles? I don't know, but I do like it for one reason. This is going to elevate the Raw Tag Team division because with the Usos holding it, they're going to be on the show weekly and they're going to actually give some effort because WWE has this thing where whoever holds the championship, that's when they put effort. When you put someone like the Usos or Cody or something like that, they tend to put more effort into their stories. But then when you put someone like, Dragon Lee AJ Styles, they was actually trying with it. They was actually trying, but when you have guys like DIY and stuff like that, they typically don't try as hard with their championship reign. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Interested to see how they build the Raw Tag Team division up. But nonetheless, overall show, it was a decent show. It was a decent show overall. Nothing really moved the needle. No stories really progressed, but it was an enjoyable watch for what it was. But you guys let me know your overall thoughts, opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.